Carlos Botong V. Francisco is often compared to Diego Rivera, the Mexican painter he too admired, and for good reason. Botong created massive murals as well as created an archetypal Filipino character, mythic as Malakas and as heroic as Bonifacio and Rizal, and molded in their images. As the clay for these statues, he relied on the cast of characters of his beloved hometown, Angono. He would paint tillers of the soil, even kamote diggers, fishermen pulling at their nets in the Mampupukot. The Fiesta of Angono was a central event in the town's life, as well as in Botong's. And as Salvador Huban, his longtime protege and artist assistant, would recall, Botong always painted from life and the things he knew. Huban remembers that Botong would be an avid participant of the fiesta, following the saint to the lakeshore and on to its long procession. One time, he was even Presidente de Festejos, in charge of the festivities. Botong adds an interesting sidebar by focusing on the distracting charms of Angono Las in the foreground. This attention to microcosm would appear deliberately and often in many of his works. Salvador Badong Huban, Botong's last protege and artist assistant, says that he recalls Botong working on this particular project, Pista ng Angono, in the master's sala. Pointing to the profile of the finely shaded jaw of the male cook, he exclaimed that only Botong could have produced such fineness of work. There is a table of diners, another recurring theme in Botong's fiesta paintings. In this, Pista ng Angono, the larger-than-life features of the other works, the saint and its arch, the brass band and its gigantes, the golden balloons, and yes, the heaving crowds, all recede into the distance. The Banda Uno leads the return of the saint, symbolized by the bamboo arch. Instead of a large, hot-aired balloon, now just a bunch of much smaller, multicolored ones flutter in the wind. One gentleman has sideburns, a lady's dangling earring is painstakingly outlined. The church of Angono is a solemn, towering, if pale presence in the near distance. Botong now chooses to focus on the backstage, behind-the-scenes characters in this Pista ng Angono. A woman, half hidden, sitting on the ground, pounds away at mortar, the pestle in one hand, a man's back turned, but pants pocket clearly drawn, tends to a lechon. Another character is half seen, grinding a coconut. An almost secretive, sly courtship takes place out the front porch of a house. A coy lass listens to a man on his guitar, while her father has his back turned. Distracted by the fiesta ongoings, the lead characters in this work are the cook and his helpmate, busy with the preparation of the various fiesta dishes. There are tin cups and tomatoes on a small table apart from the various pots and pans. To the right of this pair is another important character, a young woman in a traditional alampay worn over her head that Botong loved to chronicle. She is tirelessly scrubbing away at a pile of pinggan. The figures are all Botong's gentle reminders that the Philippines, as Ino M. Manalo has put it, is unmistakably a country of people with individual lives that the audience is being challenged to understand. These men and women were the most important figures in his personal kaleidoscope of life. For Huban, the beauty of the unadorned country life was the most important theme of Botong's works. Salvador Badong Huban officially joined the great Carlos Botong V. Francisco's studio as an apprentice in 1959. Huban said that Botong was the simplest of men, whose studio was no more than a shack made of rice sacks and thatch. Badong Huban worked as Botong's protege from 1959 to 1962, returning in 1965 as a full-fledged artist's assistant until the day of Botong's death in 1969. Carlos Botong V. Francisco was born November 4, 1912, was raised and lived in the ancient town of Angono, Rizal. He fell short by 1 year of completing his course in fine arts at the University of the Philippines, preferring to work instead in the Philippines Herald as an illustrator. He would go on to win numerous awards and win the love of a grateful nation for his paintings that captured the Filipino soul. Botong would be named Philippine National Artist for Painting posthumously in 1973.